Welcome to the Raven Space on YouTube. My name is Jason, and this is Raven Space News, where we talk about the Baltimore Ravens 3 times a week. Thank you guys so much. We have a lot of other great shows, but here we talk about the pressing news that you need to know as a Baltimore Ravens fan. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Please subscribe to the Raven Space on YouTube for the best Baltimore Ravens content on the internet. Also, please check out some of our other great content. We do content on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We do different videos here, so check it all out. Every little bit helps us grow. Also, if you want to take a more active role and choose some of the features that we do, you have your own special mailbag, please become a Patreon member in the description below. Now we're going to get into the topic list for today, and we're going to talk about the Ravens possibly making a play for Jimmy Graham. We're going to talk about the Dean Peas for the last time, I promise. And then we're going to go to Todd McShay's mock draft. And it infuriates me, but we'll get there when we get there. For now, but we're also going to do mailbag and comment of the day. That's going to make me happier. It's the way that you guys interact with this show. So please comment below. Now, we're going to go to the first topic of the day, and ESPN's Jamison Hensley stated that the Ravens should make Jimmy Graham the top priority for them this free agency period. And when I heard this, I was taken aback a little bit because of, I think there are bigger needs for the Ravens. However, I think that depending on what the Ravens do at receiver, this could be a perfect fit. I mean, I really do believe that. And Jimmy Graham can still ball. He is older. He has some injury history. But let's not forget who he is, you know, in New Orleans. Now, he's not that guy. But last year, he did have 10 touchdowns. And that's real. You know, 10 touchdowns is a offense-changing type of player. And now he might not change your offense all the way up the field, but in the red zone, invaluable for Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco wants someone that's tall. That's why Joe Flacco loved Crockett Gilmore so much. And I think that you have a better Crockett Gilmore right here. So I love this. If the Ravens keep Macklin, and let's say that they, you know, try to keep another receiver. Now you have some veteran presence at the receiver. You get a rookie receiver that can help you out. I think you're chugging along, and I think you have a real chance to be a great team. Now, he comes with his downsides. Injured players to the Ravens makes me a little uncomfortable, but hopefully he works out. I think this is a good way. If the Ravens can't get one of those top receivers, this is a good way for them to still get better on offense this free agency period. So I thought it was a cool idea. It's not the #1 choice for me, but it's a good fallback plan, and it will make the Ravens offense more exciting to watch, honestly. Now we're going to go to the second story of the day, and this story is old. I'm sorry. I will talk about it this last time. Dean Pease provided additional details on his decision to unretire. We'll see how quick this one is, because I don't really want to talk about it, but I will for you guys. So basically, Dean Pease listed 3 additional reasons why he decided to unretire. Again, I'm really sick of this story, but I'll give you guys those reasons. One is that, honestly, he was unsure if he even wanted to retire. I do think there was some pressure from the organization. He thought he was going to get fired, and he decided to retire. And again, a long-term defensive coordinator like him, one of the top in his position, you can see, I can see why you would rather retire than get fired. So because of that, I don't think he was unsure. That's what he said. The second thing is that Mike Vrabel convinced him. He said that he told Mike Vrabel no. But Mike Vrabel kept on trying to get him in. And maybe he didn't say no, but he definitely said, hey, Mike, I love you, buddy, but I'm retired. And he kept on saying, hey, come back. And then the last part, and someone in the comments said this, so if you were the one that said this in the comments, shout yourself out, say, hey, I said this. The fact that his son was offered a job was a big factor. It was icing. He described it as icing on the cake. But when someone asks you, why did you decide to come back? You don't, say icing. You don't say the little bitty stuff, right? You don't say like, I get an extra vacation week, right? If you get a real job, this is, coaching's a real job. But if you get a normal job, a regular job, a job like I have, and someone says, we're going to offer you this much money and you get to work here in California, and you can afford it because of your big salary, and we're going to give you, an extra week of vacation time. Your pitch isn't, when someone asks you why you took the job, you don't say vacation time. You say the money, the location, right? So he said, basically, my son, but he said it was an added bonus. Nah, Dean, we know the game. You wanted your son on your team, which is fine. And as a person that the person that you are, you deserve that. You have gotten that, and you've achieved so much that you can get that perk. So again, last story, but those are the biggest reasons. One, he was already unsure. Two, he was talked into it by his buddy Mike Vrabel. And three, his son is now on his team, and he gets to coach with his son. So that's the reason. Last DNP story, I promise. But now you guys know why he came back. Now, again, if we find out that, John Harbaugh said, we're going to definitely fire you, then I might come back a little bit, but hopefully this is the last one. Now, this is the story that infuriates me. Todd McShay's latest mock draft has the Ravens selecting defensive tackle Vita Vea. Now, again, his name might be pronounced differently. I am not a pronunciation expert nor a college football expert. So, sure. I do know this. The boy can play. Let's start there. The boy is real. The boy is serious. The boy has speed for a tackle. The boy can play. However, the need is not here at all. I mean, it makes me... He is the best defensive tackle, I think, and I agree with that. And he would be a great pick on any other team at 16. I really do believe that. But the Ravens do not need him, okay? And I love the Ravens, but you have to understand, when you pick someone with the first pick in the draft, or the first round pick, you're projecting for them to be a star. And right now, if we draft him, we have 3 stars on the defensive line. So unless Todd McShay knows something that I don't, like, the Ravens are going to trade Brandon Williams, or they don't think they can keep other defensive tackles, then this is a bad pick. You can't have 3 top-tier tackles. You can't pay them all, okay? We're going to have Brandon Williams, who we have to pay a lot of money. You got to remember Michael Pierce, who last year, in my opinion, was better than Brandon Williams. You have to pay him a lot of money coming up. And if you get this young guy, in 3 years, you're going to have to pay him a lot of money. And you can't invest all this money, not in this league. I'm sorry, guys. You guys are going to hate me for saying this. I know you guys want to run first team with a strong run defense, but you cannot win this game paying several defensive tackles top-tier money. Again, the Jets are a team that had great defensive tackles in a 3-4 system. And they paid them, and the Jets are still bad. And the issue is, if you can pay pass rushers, that's fine, because pass rushers really do affect the quarterback. I mean, if you look at the Super Bowl, remember that Brandon Cox was not an issue. Okay, Brandon Cox didn't stop. I'm calling Brandon Cox. It might not be his name. That might not be his first name, but Cox is his last name. He was not an issue. Okay, he was the best player on that defense, and Tom Brady didn't even feel it. Right, Tom Brady threw for 500 yards. The best defensive player in that game that made the biggest play was the linebacker that rushed and made the strip sack. Now, he's a middle linebacker usually, but he still was a linebacker. You cannot pay defensive tackles who stop the run max money, especially, you can pay one of them max money. You cannot, not max money, but you can pay one of them a lot, but you cannot pay 2 of them a lot, because that means either you can't pay somebody else in your defense, which is more important in today's game, like a cornerback. And again, another example for the Super Bowl. Maybe if the Patriots had Malcolm Butler on the field, they could have won. That's just perfect, right? Maybe if Jimmy Smith was in the game, you know, the Steelers wouldn't have marched down the field and scored a touchdown on us. Or maybe the Bengals wouldn't have marched down the field and scored a touchdown on us if we had a top-tier cornerback in the game. Or maybe if we had a receiver that could make a play by himself without Joe Flacco having to place the ball there, maybe we could be in the playoffs, right? So there's so many other positions that, you know, that you need. Now, you do start from the inside out on defense. One defensive tackle is enough. If we draft this guy, we have 3 starting defensive tackles. Sorry. And you're all going to have to pay him big bucks. Sorry. Terrible decision. I hope this is not what happens. Now, you guys can yell at me. I'm fine with that. People yell at me all the time. Whatever. But you have to try to get a receiver, an offensive lineman with this first pick. You really do. Or a playmaker who can help Joe Flacco. That's it. I don't even care. I don't care if it's a tight end. I don't care if it's a running back. I don't care if it's a receiver. Shoot, I don't care if it's a better offensive coordinator. Whatever you got to do to help Joe Flacco out, you got to help Joe Flacco out. And Vita Villa does not help Joe Flacco out. I like him. He's a great player. Last year we invested in defense. We didn't make the playoffs. Do you guys understand that, right? You know, I'm about to finish my rant. We invested in defense last year. We did make the playoffs. If our offense was a top 5 offense, we would have made the playoffs. There's no doubt in my mind, because we would have won a game against the Steelers, and we would have definitely beat the Bengals. So that's my 2 cents. He's a great player. This is a bad pick. Todd McShay, I'm ashamed to be a fan of yours right now, because I really am. And this is a bad pick. So I don't think it's going to happen. The owner said it wasn't going to happen. And when the owner says it's not going to happen, guess what happens? The owner gets what he wants. So, now let me go to something that's going to make me happy again. The mailbag question of the day, sponsored by the Raven Space Patreon and our patrons. You guys are the best. I do not deserve you guys. Thank you guys so much for your support. You are literally the only way we can keep this show going without me having to go into a massive amount of debt. I still am in debt, but not a massive amount. So this question comes from Logan Duncan, and he says, with Ozzie stepping down, will we not get as many Alabama players in the draft? I thought this was a great question. You guys always come with your A game. Great question. I think that we will in the near term, but as we get further away, I think we will not. Depending on how, it honestly depends on how long Ozzie stays, because again, I do think it's a little lazy, but Ozzie has been right. Like, you know, I do criticize him, but C.J. Mosley, Humphrey, all great players. I mean, not all of them work out, but he has about a 50% hit rate on these Alabama players, which is not bad, right? So I'm not mad at that so much. If we do the homework on everybody else, that's all I want, right? How come we don't take players from LSU as much, or Georgia? They're just they're just as pro-bodied, right? They're ready. The only difference is one was coached by Nick Saban, so so that's what I think. I think they will go down in the future, but in the present, I think there will still be a strong reliance on Ozzie Newsome, even after 2018. So I like the question. I think that it will take some time, but we will diversify some picks, which will help us out, I think, in the long run. And now we got the comment of the day. No sponsor, but it comes from Javon Morsey. And if you guys did not watch the last episode, someone asked me about Baker Mayfield, and I said, short quarterbacks, I don't know a lot of them that have been successful. I mentioned Drew Brees, and then a lot of people, not just Javon, but a lot of people said Russell Wilson. Some people, less people, said Doug Flutie, and I saw a couple people say Michael Vick. I will take all 3 of those as a win. If you said that, you are the winner of the day, because you have proven me wrong. Those are 3 great quarterbacks who deserve to be mentioned in the great quarterbacks of short height. So thank you guys so much for being the best commenters, for correcting me when you think I'm wrong, because I do appreciate it, because again, I do not know everything. So your opinion does matter to me. Thank you guys so much. Again, please subscribe to Ravens Space on YouTube for the best Baltimore Ravens content on the internet. Thank you guys so much, and go Ravens.